always, I think, one of the highlights of the month in that we're featuring people who are doing amazing things in the space. And every social wellness club we start, and I forget to turn off the music, so I'll do that now. We create amazing spaces to share information so that we have a community of people who are conscious about their health, their wellness, being proactive, preventative about their health and wellness, coming together to share information. So this is a conversational space. It's meant not to feel like you're being spoken to, but we're speaking with each other. And the perfect context for that is what Jan does with her blood microscopy, in that everything that you see is a reflection of what's happening inside. And we are lucky enough to be able to have several people. I have our list of attendees, so we're going to pick numbers at random and pick a few of you to come up if you're willing and able and happy to get your finger pricked and be on the big screen. It's super insightful, I think, to see obviously what's happening with your blood in real time, because you go to a doctor and you get lab results and all you get is a piece of paper that has maybe a couple red or blue or green symbols that are telling you what's good and what's bad, and then oftentimes somebody's just telling you what pill to take. Luckily, we have Dr. Charlie Ware, who is an epigeneticist and functional medicine doctor, so he's one of the few doctors that when you do get lab testing done is not going to just tell you what the lab test says. He's going to give you insight into how to change your lifestyle, your food choices, in order to update where you're at to evolve and improve based on preventative and proactive measures, so that you're not dependent on a pill, you're not dependent on some external source. We're changing the internal sources to improve our body from within. And I think anybody who sees the state of pharmaceutical medicine now realizes that one pill leads to 2, leads to 3, leads to 4, leads to 5, leads to a list of symptoms that none of us want to sign up for. So how can we be more proactive and preventative in just thinking about consciously what we're putting in our bodies? So I thought there was no better thing to do than start from the inside out and have Jan give just a rundown of how she got into blood microscopy. I'll have Dr. Ware give a rundown of how he got into functional medicine, and then both of them are going to kind of tag team in giving you insights about what we see on the screen and what you feel inside and what you might be able to do to balance all those things out. So Jan, I'll let you take it over.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming out in this rain, because I know it was an effort. And Christine, I would like to tell you that yesterday she earned an honorary doctorate in blood microscopy. So Dr. Christine will be my assistant pointing out things in the blood. And so you may wonder, like, what is a blood microscopist? It took me a while to actually learn how to say the word, actually. But like any person who's a healer, and there's lots of healers in this room, it usually or typically starts with us being sick in some way that motivates you to find some other answer. And about 15 years ago, I got sick. I didn't know. I took every single antibiotic that Walgreens had to offer. And finally, when I went back to the doctor said, "Jan, the medical model has failed you. We don't have anything left for you." I now know that what I had is now being called long COVID. It's a viral related symptomatology that there was no way for me to find my way back in the space, as you would say. So I did what any well-thinking woman would do who needed a medical plan. I immediately called my hairdresser and I went in to get my hair done, because everybody knows that if you can't make a doctor appointment, you have to go to your hairdresser. They know everything. And it turned out that when I told the hairdresser what was wrong with me, she says, "I have a guy." Right? And I said, "Give me his name, give me his number." She said, "There's just one issue. He does blood microscopy," and I had no idea what that was 15 years ago now, okay? "He's in Idaho." And I said, "Bring it on." I was on the fast track. I got right on the plane. I flew to Idaho. I stayed there for a week. When he took my blood the first time, I was absolutely petrified. I did not know what he was going to find, like I was going to die. That's how I felt. I was dying. I couldn't get out of the bed. I couldn't do anything. He saw all kinds of viral bars in my blood, things that when I went to the doctor, as Christine said, my lab work was fine, but I wasn't fine. So as soon as I saw the microscope, the whole setup, I was hooked, bought the microscope, bought the supplements, bought the whole thing, and I came back. Now it was 15 years ago, but that's kind of how I got into it, okay? What is blood microscopy? And this is the basic thing. It's the art of looking at your blood. That's it. So why haven't we looked at our blood? It's kind of like saying, okay, you know what, I'm going in for cardiac surgery. Let's just put a sheet over the surgeon. Let me just kind of feel my way around. I'm not really going to look at your heart, you know? So no, it's time that we start looking at our blood instead of taking just quantitative measurements, right? And then you have people like Dr. Ware who actually say, hey, wait a minute, what does all this mean? So it's a great way to start. It's a great way to see your blood is dynamic. We make, and thank you, this is Nigel's blood. Nigel, here he is. And I am going to look at some of your blood, but just some fun facts. I mean, centuries ago, when Hippocrates was around, they did what was called bloodletting. So if you were sick, this is the truth. A guy would come, horse-drawn wagon. He had a long rubber tube and razor blades, because they didn't have like glass and needles and stuff like we have now. They didn't come with an IV bag and a pole. No, we're talking about a long time ago. And they would tie the thing, tourniquet, they'd slit open your vein, and the remedy was to let all the blood run out of you. So either you had three options. You got infected, because there was really no sepsis. Sepsis was a big thing. You died because they drained all of your blood out, or somehow miraculously you got better. Okay, so we've made some improvements, right? Some improvements.
I think that's a good segue into having Dr. Ware give a little insight into how those improvements might have gotten distorted a little bit away and how we're coming back out of that.
You know, for me, it was very similar to Jane as far as like the reasoning behind getting into just going deeper into medicine. You know, when we get our typical blood work done, only about 17% of that information is actually accurate. Only 17%. And the reason why we say that is because of the fact that that's only a snapshot at one point in time in your life, right? So I very, very rarely do CBCs and things of that sort. Yeah, there's no purpose to it. You know, even looking at someone's cholesterol ratios, I'm like, if the ratio is great, then I don't care you have a 220 cholesterol. Like, you know, let's look at you genetically. Does your family have high cholesterol rates and things of that sort? Are you genetically predisposed to have all these things? So with me, I look at your gut, your microbiome first and foremost, and the reason why I look at that, I want to see what bugs and bacteria are really working well in your body, and what's also working against you. What viruses, what other issues are sort of laying around in your body. You need to put this on as well?
No, just close.
Just close, okay. But what else is laying around in your body that's not allowing you to be the best you can be? Did we know that 70% of our hormones are made inside of our gut? 80% of our neurotransmitters are made in our gut. You know, all these things are made in our gut. So if our gut's not working properly, we're not going to have the best health. So when I started to do things from an epigenetic standpoint, where are our genes really singing and not singing? You know, are we predisposed to have all these things? So when I start to work with Jan, it's funny because I'll tell my story about having this done. I hate having my finger pricked. You can draw blood from me all day long. My finger prick is something about my fingers. Just do not touch my fingers. So I was standing behind her and said, just do it. And she finally got it done. But with me, I have sickle cell beta thalassemia, which is a genetic red blood cell disease. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Most individuals that have it don't live past the age of 20, 28, sometimes 30, 40. I just turned 50 recently. But I've never really been sick from it. Why? I grew up on a farm, didn't eat anything processed until I probably was in my teenage years. My first seeing chicken inside of a store was like, I was 10 years old. My mom was like, that's chicken. I was like, no, Mom, chicken's on our farm. That's not chicken. You know, so antibiotics and all these other things, you know, how does it really play a role in having a impact on our genetic makeup? How does, you know, having, you know, these things, these microphones on these radiation, EMFs, all these things, how does it really play a role in our lives? And so I try to analyze that and make sure that we're living the best lives we can and saying, hey, your body doesn't detox certain things from a genetic standpoint. Down from a gastrointestinal standpoint, your body doesn't produce certain things that allow you to detox. How can you now speed that process up without medication and also taking a ton of vitamins either? I'm really about making sure that you're changing your habits. It's going to allow your body to rest and be the best it can be. So.
And that's just the cool thing is that, so Dr. Ware does microbiome testing, so it's essentially a stool sample, but it gives you a 17-page report about what's going on in there. And then he also does the genetic testing, which is just a mouth swab that gives you an indication of what you might be predisposed to, so that you can then use your food and your lifestyle to reverse that and be more proactive about it. So I love how fascinating that is, because the first time I went into Jen, first of all, the thing that hooked me too with her was that the first time I ever saw my blood was with her. You know, I've gone to doctors, not frequently, but I've gone to doctors, since I usually go to an acupuncturist. And when I saw what was under the microscope, I was like, well, this is what a doctor's appointment should be. This is what we should be seeing rather than just a piece of paper. But the funny thing was, on the way there, I'd taken a hot yoga class in the morning, eaten an avocado toast on Ezekiel bread with a little bit of olive oil and cayenne. Literally got to her office and, you know, she puts the blood on the slide and she's like, did you have avocado this morning? And I was like, well, how do you know? And she can see the little good fats, like the little good fats swirling around in my blood. And I just thought, you know, if what I'm eating, you know, 30 minutes ago shows up immediately in my blood, that is the kind of evidence that I think a lot of people who might be tempted to stop at a drive-through should probably see. Because you know that immediately whatever it is you're eating is having an immediate impact on your body, your health and wellness. And as much as, yes, health is a cumulative thing, it's a step-by-step, one thing can change everything thing. So I think, you know, being aware of, you know, your level of dehydration. You know, I came from hot yoga, didn't drink maybe enough water before I got to her. So she could see that. She can see, you know, if you have bacteria or parasites, or, you know, and Charlie's microbiome test will give you a deep insight into, you know, what's living in your body. And, you know, the funny thing is you know, the bacteria that he saw in my belly, you know, I travel around the world and eat hummus off the side of the road in Egypt and Thailand and wherever, and, you know, had different bacteria floating around in there. And then all I had to think about when he suggested the diet that was no sugar, no, you know, processed anything, was that literally I'm feeding those bacteria with everything I put in my mouth. And if you start thinking about all those little things living their best life in your belly, that's going to change what you decide to feed them. And that's enough consciousness, I think, to shift things. So
having said that, would you like to, I mean, we can talk about the blood all day long, but it's really much more fun if you see it up on the screen. So,
dun, dun, dun.
Who is going to be the next?
Pick a number from 1 to 13.
7.
Michelle. Yeah. You up for it?
You up for it? Yeah.
Wait. Time out.
You're number 7. Dun, dun, dun.
Very good. Okay, this will just take a minute to get this on the slide.
This is the coolest part.
Yeah, yeah. The thing with it, like I said, I actually had it done.
Nigel over here is laughing. He was a reluctant, but he did do it. He did not want to do it, but he did want to do
it. The funny thing, we were like, well, how are we going to picture? We put people in a bowl and say, no, I have an Excel spreadsheet.
Right. That's the new way to do it. How are you doing?
You know, the whole thing with it, you know, as Jen is sort of going through the whole process, I actually, when I got mine done, what I didn't realize was how immediate, you know, everything was, because it's live blood.
How old are you?
You know, you'll see everything moving around and things of that sort. However, the other flip side of it is, as she'll tell you, as things start to dry, other things start to come up. You know, so it's really a fascinating process. And for me, you know, I had done this many, many years ago, probably around 15 years ago as well. And I didn't like the process then, but the technology actually has improved. So you can see more now. There's like more depth. When I first had mine done many, many years ago, you sort of saw some of my sickled cells and things weren't, you know, well in some certain areas. But when Jan did my about maybe 6 months ago, you didn't see any sickle cells. It's almost like as if I don't have sickle cell thalassemia anymore. And that's just a testament to having lifestyle modification, having things change. And as you see, this is real blood, how it's moving.
Can we take that off?
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so what were you doing before you got here? Were you moving around? Did you work out at all? Because your blood is moving very nicely.
What was I doing? I don't know, I was getting ready.
So you're just getting ready, but
Yeah,
you didn't work out per se.
not this morning.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Were you driving? Did you drive?
I did not drive.
Just riding in a car sometimes, I think, is equivalent to
Okay, so I'm just kind of
Here in South Florida, that's a workout.
so what we're looking at is her red blood cells. What's your first name? Melissa. Okay, Melissa.
I have an older cousin that is Michelle, and everybody calls, so I answer to it.
Oh,
You do, okay. So we're seeing her red blood cells. They're moving around really nicely. This is what we want to see. In healthy blood, it moves around. I do have a cover slip over it, so we'll calm down after a bit. But these are the red blood cells here. This is a platelet. This right here is some air bubbles, but we look for the evenness and roundness. Now think about your red blood cells for a second. Let's just think about being a red blood cell. Now believe this, because it's true. We make 240 million red bloods per second. Okay? They are made in your bone marrow as well as your white blood cells. And the spleen, you've heard of a spleen? That's kind of like your container, you know, where you hold your reservoir, your red blood cells. All right? So inside here, all in here, where there's no red blood cells, that is your plasma. Okay? So we don't have a plasma organ, like we got a liver, we got this, that, appendix, no plasma organ. So where does the plasma come from? Anybody have a guess? It comes from your intestines. Okay? So it's kind of a colloidal suspension that your red blood cells go around your body in. Now, there are about 500 to 700 red blood cells to one white cell. Okay? Now, the quality of your red blood cells is based on the quality of your plasma. And when you hear people say, I've got a leaky gut, the plasma has all kinds of debris in it because it's leaking out of your gut. And this is when you think about your blood flowing through your body and the delivery system, and if it's coming, if the garbage truck is just bringing along more garbage, now think about where I took her blood from. Okay, you're good, you can put the, I took it from her capillary, right? That's where the exchange takes place. Who remembers, was anybody awake here in their science class and remember what a blood cell does, a red blood cell? Carries? Oxygen. Yes, oxygen, nutrients, and some hormones primarily, some other things. But they're kind of like jelly donuts. You see they're biconcave? They're like a donut because they have to scrunch up and they have to go through the microcapillaries. Now, if you've got some big honking things in your bloodstream, that has to go through the same capillary as well. And that's where we start getting into trouble. All right, so let's just take a look. So far, your blood looks great, by the way. All right.
It's always good to hear.
So that's an air bubble.
And as you look over just her screen, this is one drop of blood.
Right.
It's one drop of blood on the microscope.
And
this
so
is the world and universe.
This is your inner universe. This, basically, when you come to see me in a visit, I tell you that your blood is going to tell me your story, and I am simply the narrator. I do not want to know one thing about you when you sit down in the chair, okay? Because the blood is always going to be the thing that tells me what's going on. Now, she looks really pretty good. Why did I have to pick somebody good? I want to find things that are...
I'm actually curious because I've been having to get a lot of blood work done because I have some other stuff going on.
Well, don't tell me, don't tell me.
That's why I'm like,
So let's see what she's got going on.
I'm looking for all her white blood cells.
Yeah, I don't see too many white blood cells.
My honorary doctor.
This is how she got her honorary
Trying to
doctorate.
flex her muscle right now.
And so now this is a platelet right here, and we have platelets. There's different kinds of leukocytes, which are basically white blood cells, and they're different because they have different assignments. And normally I would see a neutrophil or two here, so whatever is bothering you, I would say...
Isn't that liver like
The stress, yeah, she's got some. Sometimes it takes a few minutes. Now let's see what she has going on. Platelets, she's got good platelets in there. Now there's a white blood cell right there. Okay, now the thing that is so awesome about your body to remember that there's these white blood cells, they're called neutrophils, like Christine pointed out right there. And they're called phagocytes because they're like little Pac-Men, and they go around and they're like the first guys on the scene. If there's something foreign in your body, they will grab it.
They're like a little Roomba vacuum. They go around.
Yeah, they're like a little Roomba.
All these little bacteria guys like moving around, and it just rolls right over them, and they get swooped up. It's like when you look really close, you can see them moving.
You can see that all moving around. The brilliance of the body, though, is that and this will make sense to all of you who have understood the role that oxygen and frequency is playing now in today's medicine. Okay, yeah. Is that these move around, and when they get a hold of a bacteria, do you know what they do? They let out a little puff of oxygen, and it kills the bacteria. Now, when they've been fed enough, these last up to 2 weeks, depending on, what. Now, we've all been exposed to so many things now. So they're working overtime. Now, in here, you can't see it, but I can. There's some, it's liver stress, yeah. And it's related, they're called spicules. And sometimes if people have recently been sick with either RSV or COVID or any kind of flu or anything like that, you have to remember that there's waste from those particles that get in your body. And sometimes your liver and process of elimination can be overcome in your body, and it shows up like this with a little bit of this in here. So how are you feeling? Are you a little tired by any chance?
I'm not. I had COVID in August, but...
Let's see if we see anything in here. But you're not tired at all? Sometimes when you see this kind of debris, that is the debris that is moving around. But I don't see a lot of white blood cells, that's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
There's one. There's one there. Mm-hmm.
So usually there's a ratio of the white blood cells to red blood cells. So you'll see like somewhere between.
Can you point to a white blood cell versus the blob?
These little, you'll see them. That one's not really.
So sometimes when there's a light, sometimes when there's like a bullseye in the middle of the red blood cell, it indicates that heme is not exactly as strong. Their body recycles the heme.
What's heme?
Heme is the element, it's the iron.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
good white blood cell.
Yeah, there's a great white blood cell there. So, in your blood work, how was your heme?
I'm slightly anemic.
I was gonna say that.
Because I had my fibroids, some fibroids removed in the fall. So I've been battling with
The anemia? Yeah. So when the red blood cells die, they live for about 120 days depending on your health. And when they make the cell darker.
Yep.
So sometimes when they call it a bullseye, it means that the heme does get recycled, but yeah, this would be a good case for Dr. Ware. If you want to, you can see it a little bit better. So, so Dr. Ware, if you had somebody that was presenting with low H&H post-surgically and post-COVID too, now you have that complication potentially.
Exactly. I mean, when I first saw her blood, I was like, she's definitely anemic. First thing I actually saw was that, you know, because the amount of oxygen that you need in your body to, you know, one, not just survive, but make sure your organs and your cells are going to survive is very, very deficient. So essentially, I'll say, you know, let's look at the diet, because more than likely you have some sort of bacteria that's actually also eating away at your oxygen production. We also got to realize that if we're slightly, you know, bacterial overgrowth, that basically also means that our body is going to be not producing enough oxygen, or even the fermentation process, which is in our transverse colon. What that basically means really is the fact that you're not just anemic, but you're also low in oxygen, which basically means that your body's not producing the right hormones. So even though they're playing with your hormones and the THS and things of that sort, it won't get right until we actually address the bacterial overgrowth inside your stomach and get that to really balance itself out as well. So I will say probably just off the top of my head, you know, cut out, you know, the caffeine, sugars, processed food, but also eat more fermented foods for you. And you'll see probably in the next, I say 45 days, you'll have a better production as well. Yeah, I said this is just me off the top of my head, but that's really what I'm looking at with you. I don't think it was really a hormonal thing with you or even thyroid thing. It's just starting to happen, but it all started inside of your gut. You travel internationally a lot?
I'd say
Never
that
mind.
qualifies.
We eat a primarily vegetarian diet.
Yeah, but you also got to realize that you're a pilot. All that radiation you have around you, where is it mostly pointing? Up here. So I will also look at your thymus as well. Because you also might have some thymus issues. Your thymus is really what's in charge of your immunity inside your body too. It wasn't probably just your thyroid, it's probably your thymus that gave you issues too. So, sorry, I go deep that quick, unfortunately.
Right,
Sorry, I apologize.
that's where we go.
But it's always interesting to think about like what, you know, literally what we're exposed to. Because we had a whole, one of our last social wellness clubs that Dr. Ware led was like, you know, how to like hack your health, eat, sleep, and you know, what you're exposed to. And part of just what we were saying is like what daily things can we do? And you know, a lot of the discussion was like the EMF and things we're exposed to, and just as simply as leaving your phone, you know, between you and a wall when you sleep at night, and not being exposed to like the Wi-Fi signals. And you know, they have all these radioactive measures, the machines that will pick up, you know, they say like the new iPhone has like off the charts.
Forget about it.
Like you walk near it and it just goes directly into like the off the chart red of how much is being emitted. And it's like, you know, if they keep coming out with iPhone 20, 30, 40, that at some point they ought to be able to reduce the EMF. But
No,
I don't think that's
the biggest thing to realize, and why are we even going down that path? So, well, when EMFs or radiation comes inside the body, it actually degrades our cells. It actually depletes us of zinc, magnesium, manganese, all of the essential nutrients we actually need.
What's your name?
So when that's happening on a
Donna.
daily
I think I know
basis,
you.
constantly, like, you know, I see people with the things in their ear constantly walking around, like, that's just killing your brain.
I haven't seen her
It's just
in a
slowly,
while.
you know,
Did you go to
and
Thermae
we're wondering
Spa?
why dementia
You-
over the
I went to
last
Thermae.
15 years has gone up
I used to.
amongst baby boomers. Well, look at the technology. But, you know, also, of course, look at the food, but also look at the
Yeah, they
technology.
need somebody actually.
You know, we were having more kids being born with, you know,
Let me have this.
Asperger's and all these other autism things of that sort. Look at technology.
Oh, they would like
You know,
that.
the technology rates and everything is going right in line
I know
with
that they
all
are
of
looking for
these,
somebody
you know,
right now.
diseases that's
Yeah.
coming about in our body, cardiac
Totally
issues.
are, yeah. Oh,
Think about, you know,
Donna,
what
you
nutrients
said?
we need around our heart is
Okay,
largely
take a deep
calcium,
breath,
potassium,
Emily.
things of that sort. And all of these radiation EMFs really degrades all that. Medications, none at all? Okay, good. That was gonna,
Okay, well,
please.
maybe.
But yeah, that's really the main thing. And I see a lot. I have a pilot coming in tomorrow with the same symptoms. In fact, female too. You know, and it's like, it's not crazy. It's more so, it's just self-evident. I mean, the first thing I learned, I used to fly a lot, was I used to like spray colloidal silver up my nose just because they recycle air. I would always get sick.
I'm sure. Is she the one that, Jennifer Grace for sure. Wendy, does she do the, what does she do, Wendy Plum? Is she the one that does the Course in Miracles? No.
She does do it, but she's a business coach, but I just wrote a chapter in a book of co-authors with like 14 women.
That was something that's very, I'm not discounting it, but that's something very, very new. But how many of you guys have actually changed your cabin air filter in your car? All the time? She knows, but no one else raised their hand. Most of us drive around in our cars and never changed that, but we used to be changing it every 6 months. The filters in our actual car. Now I throw it back to planes. Most planes change them not as frequently, but I'm saying this is before COVID. A lot of things were put in place after COVID came out. Before then, who knows, right? So.
Do this, Jen. Pick 2 more numbers so that we can get the lineup of
Okay.
people.
I mean, who wants to do it maybe, or do you?
Well, I think everybody wants.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I don't want to do, I'm just joking.
Well, I can do him and then the gal in the back. I can do those 2 next. Is that all right? Or you want me to pick numbers? Because I don't know what numbers they are.
Kathleen, I know Richard wants to too. That's all I know. I know everybody wants to. So
Oh, okay. All right. So maybe I'll pick whatever numbers you want me to pick. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Pick 2 numbers.
2.
Oh, well, that's Kathleen. So there you go. Yes. So she'll read Donna's first and then prick, but that way when Charlie starts talking, she can prick. I just want to keep it moving along.
Right.
Pick
Okay.
another number.
Okay. 8
Richard.
It works out perfect.
and
1
10.
more. And Gil.
Okay.
Done.
You guys anyway.
That worked out.
That worked out really well. Okay, so Donna, your blood, now you can see these are the neutrophils in here. You can see how nice and big and juicy they are, which is really good. This makes a statement around your immune system. We like to see active neutrophils, and they are very, very nice. Now, over here, when I see this kind of a pattern that looks kind of like a circle with remnants in it, it prompts me to ask the question if you've ever had COVID.
Yes.
Okay, so when I see that, so it appears that it's remnant oriented. So that's the thing about viruses, is that even if you threw them all in the blender and shook them up and blended them up and took out one little drop, it still contains all the DNA to be the virus.
Exactly. Yep.
And the way it gets back into your cells in a whole way is through the sodium-potassium pump. It can just go in and out and in and out. So it's really important that you do have a good immune system, and it looks to me right now that that is something that you do have. Let me go over here.
Jane, can you do me a favor? Can you tell the audience essentially what you've seen since this COVID outbreak and what it has done to the blood?
Thank you. That's a really good question. Typically, when you come see me, I do 2 different kinds of slides. I do this, and I put a cover slip. If I let that cover slip stay on for about 45 minutes or so, the cells get, the bacteria and the parasites get very hungry, and they come out to play. And they start to show up in the plasma. And what I have seen, one of the biggest things that I've seen is called biofilm. And that biofilm is the body's brilliance in surrounding the bacteria, parasites, and other elements such as yeast, and they put like a mucus balloon around it so it's impenetrable. And that is one of the reasons why that people are now going back to their medical model doctors who have been put on medication, even antibiotics, and the doctor has to keep upping the medication because it is the biofilm is making it very, very difficult to absorb what it needs to absorb, okay? So she's got some really great great white blood cells. And also they're not stuck together. This is a platelet right here. We need those platelets. Her blood cells are nice and round and yeah, nice looking. Now let's see. Everybody's doing really well today. But it wouldn't surprise me if you had some of the long COVID. This is, there's over 200 symptoms. One of the things that I have seen for those that might be listening at home, that I have seen, unfortunately, a lot of younger people coming in that have terminal diagnoses. They've gone haywire somewhere, and you can talk to this, but there's a formula that I have noticed. That is, they got COVID and or the vaccine or a combination of the two. They were kind of sick when they got exposed. And then they have a traumatic event, a trauma of some kind. What does that mean? Like a car accident, somebody died, they had to, like something that really riled them up. And then they don't feel right. Now this is going over like a 6-month period. They don't feel right. Then it gets to a point where they've done everything they know how to do, and they say, I'm gonna go to the urgent care center. I'm not right. And they go into the urgent care center and they go, we can't deal with you, you've got to go to the emergency room. They scan them, and they've got stage 4 cancer of some kind. It comes on that hard and that fast. That's the formula that I've seen. And maybe there's people out there who know other people that this has happened to. Like, why?
Yeah. The thing that we don't realize about the S word, stress isn't, you know, I'm angry or I'm sad. Is how our body is really dealing with this stress. Oxidative stress is major. And when I talk about this as far as from a detoxification standpoint, I'm like, this is what I'm looking to. Does your body get rid of the oxidative stress and the byproducts of that as well? This is what creates a lot of this cancer, things of that sort. But also, if we're not eating properly, we're not sleeping properly, we're not allowing our body to really express that quote unquote stress, and then all of a sudden we're getting all these things done. Antibiotic will stress your body out to the max. We know that most antibiotics would affect our ligaments. You know, oh man, I'm playing pickleball, I'm doing what I'm out there playing golf. You know, I have some dental work done, and all of a sudden I have a detached, bicep tendon. Why did that happen? The antibiotic.
And the antibiotic is a nuclear bomb in your gut.
Exactly.
It literally just destroys every single thing that would exist in there. So
if you're not detoxifying all these things and rebuilding your system, you know, and I gave a stat before, taking like 1 dose of penicillin, meaning like 1 course of it, your body takes anywhere from 6 months to a year to repair itself. That's if you're doing all things properly. You know, some of these other more harsher, you know, C different things of that sort, C-pro things of that sort, it'll take you about 4 years to repair your gut if you're doing all the things properly. Yes, sir.
Doctor, aren't the mRNA vaccines, which is most all of them except J&J, creating spike proteins that are creating blood clots that are complicating
there you go.
secondary factors?
Exactly. And again, it's because of the amount of stress these mRNA, even other medications now that they're doing mRNA, it's just not COVID. It's like they're doing other medications in these forms. But just that mechanism alone is a stressor on the body. In fact, unfortunately, they've had this technology in 15, 20 years now, right? And in every model, it never worked. And then all of a sudden, thank you. And they actually threw it inside of for the COVID because it's supposed to work faster. But the body is starting to break itself down, and now this is some of the results that we're seeing from this as well. It's just the simple fact that this mRNA, it causes the DNA to replicate way too fast. So that's why we were finding cancers not just at stage 1. Like, wait a minute, you just had scans like a month ago, and all of a sudden you're at stage 2, 3, 4, just like that, because it's causing the body to replicate a lot faster.
And they're saying your body for
Those are the chylomicrons, the fats.
Exactly. Exactly.
So how it's kind of showing up in the blood now, because, and she doesn't have any right here, but there's little chunks of cholesterol, which are showing up because it's hitting the epithelial lining. The remnants are kind of up in there, and when you have a patch, it kind of breaks off, and it starts, I'm seeing a lot of people that are having that. You don't have that right now. You do have a couple of irregular shaped red blood cells here, and I want to talk about the value of vitamin D. And even the medical model talks about take vitamin D, but they never really tell you why.
Yeah.
And vitamin D, it turns out, is responsible for the membrane of the red blood cell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really important that if you're not taking D, at least 50,000 units a week, right?
Yes.
You can take it all at one time, right?
150,000, really, in my
I
opinion.
mean,
Yeah.
sometimes now people are saying, oh, you're taking too much, don't take it. I've heard of all these things. But if it's responsible for the integrity of the membrane of the red blood cell, and you've got some irregular ones, that's, I would say, either go get tested to make sure, but just, you know, that's something that can easily be done.
Yeah.
But that's the role of that in your blood.
Yeah.
One time, does that mean you go get an IV or?
No, I mean, you can just take it, over the counter as well. But also, D is not a vitamin; it's actually a hormone. So I just want you guys to understand that it's not a vitamin; it's a hormone. So that's the other portion of all of this is, we look at all these things as, oh, it's a vitamin, it's a vitamin. It's like, no, certain quote unquote vitamins are actually hormones that our body really needs. And because of the fact that we're under, lights all day long, we're not going out and getting 20 to 30 minutes of sun on our face, where we're using sunblock all the time for no reason at all, right? No reason at all. You're just using sunblock. Our body's not uptaking all these things. And again, I'll go back to the gut because I have to go back to the gut. These things are naturally produced inside of the gut. Or the K2 that you need to also absorb the vitamin D is actually producing it inside of the gut. That's allowing the body to actually uphold it.
Right, and that K2 is important now, right?
Exactly.
Because nobody really absorbs anything anymore, pretty much.
Yeah.
These are different kinds of white blood cells in here, so it's an indicator that you may be fighting off something, you're a little allergic to something. That's what those kinds of cells look like. I can't tell you what it is, but when those are present, it is telling me that you see how this one is this way and these two are this way. So you're fighting something off. This is, again, a cleanse would be something that would probably be recommended. Like to me, it's like soak, wash, rinse, repeat. So I don't know if we can even survive without doing some sort of a cleanse a couple of times a year now.
Yeah, definitely. Seasonally, actually. Seasonally. I mean,
Seasonally,
yeah. As the season started to jump in, but I personally, every season, I do a cleanse. Why? Because one, our cold winters here and in South Florida, the air is dry, right? So I know we're going to go to a humid state. I need to get my body prepared for that. And this summer is super humid, so now I must make sure that I'm not going to accumulate some of these things. The other thing that Jan spoke to with the biofilm was the mucus production. We don't understand mucus well enough. We don't understand that our stomachs are so full of mucus right now, and that's one of the reasons why we're not absorbing our nutrients. Stop a lot of the things we're doing, stop the stressors, and you'll see that even in the blood, those biofilms they're very, very hard to kill. What was the product you have for that, for the biofilm?
CLO2.
Thank you.
Water
I would say PCL for some reason, I'm a wrong profession. But there are certain things that will kill these biofilms. I have, supplements and things of that sort that I know kills it as well. But there are things that you can work together to, I also just start there. First start killing these biofilms. If you kill the house, where would the actual bacteria, go to live? They'll be out in the open, so now the body can actually kill them now. But right now, they're hiding in their own little home. As she always said, living the best life, in your blood, inside of your gut. But you got to kill these biofilms first and foremost. And yes, of course, antibiotics make you feel good. Oh, I feel great. And after that course is over with, you feel like crap again. And what's going to happen? It's just going to be this pattern over and over and over again. We have to sort of get your body working well.
And Dr. I'm told by cardiologists who use the CLO2 that
Yeah.
it gets rid of the spike proteins in
It
about
does.
3 to 4 weeks.
Yes.
3 to 4 years.
Exactly. That's one of the protocols. I mean, it's many different protocols out there, but definitely that's one of the protocols you must use. If you got vaccinated, I don't care. If you got vaccinated, whatever, and you're feeling these symptoms, start there. You have to get rid of the actual spike protein because, again, your body has a natural resistance already built in. If you get COVID now, no one's lined up in the hospitals with COVID. It's more so the body needs to get rid of the remnants, not the actual, biomarker, but the actual remnants of the actual vaccine.
Is what from
Yeah.
our called bleach.
Yes.
Maybe expand it, that there is something that is not bleach.
Yeah.
It's very effective.
Exactly. And again, the thing that happens in our public, we hear things, oh, that's technically a bleach. Listen, let's be real about it. I personally love to nebulize peroxide and also colloidal silver. I'll nebulize that all the time. Why? Because they actually allow the body to naturally produce our own peroxide. The other issue with our gut is the fact that we don't naturally produce our own natural peroxide. How do we kill all these bacteria and viruses? Peroxide, right? But if you have low production in your body, you need to actually make your body produce these things. So nebulizing these things are going to allow your body to naturally do it. And I've heard some protocols like 30, 40 minutes. No, 1 or 2 minutes, your body will actually get triggered to do it. I usually would do it once or twice a week when I was feeling like not best. Now I do it like once a month.
Okay,
Once you get to a rhythm of it.
Thank you.
Nebulize it. Okay.
Okay, this is Kathleen's blood. Let's see what we got, Kathleen. How are you feeling? Pretty good?
Yeah.
She sounds nervous.
Yeah. I'm not sure about that answer. Let's see.
Sort of, kinda.
Okay, so that's a little piece of cholesterol that
Yeah.
you see here. Okay, right here. It's next to a bubble. That's a little piece of cholesterol. These are her white blood cells. They're a little faint. Let's see. Let me see what's going on here. Let me get to where... There we go. All right, so her blood is free floating. She's got some nice, her immune system is nice. A little bit of, yeah, nice white blood cells. Let's see.
Almost a little too big.
Yeah. The plasma looks nice. It does take a while to come out, but some neutrophil. Look at all those beautiful.
Look at all those beautiful white blood cells. Look at you.
What about that cholesterol?
Well, it's just one. It's just one. We have to see if. Okay, now let's see if I'm right.
And the interesting thing about seeing the cholesterol is when she talked in the very beginning about how everything is flowing, through these capillaries. Yes, maybe. But they are flowing, if you imagine them just flowing through one channel, and if you have bits of cholesterol in there, it's blocking that flow. So that's why clogged arteries, clogged, it's all connected to the cholesterol. But only because we looked at somebody yesterday and they had cholesterol too, so that was part of my doctorate.
That was part of her doctorate.
It doesn't mean that you actually have high cholesterol, because like in mine also, I have floating cholesterol, and my cholesterol, I think it's like maybe low, like 140, 150 something, but my HDLs are pretty high. So it doesn't mean that you have cholesterol issues. It's more so, an event could have happened or whatever, or you're taking, certain vitamins that's actually something that's, having slough off. Because we actually do need cholesterol. We don't realize that our body definitely needs. It's a beautiful, thing to have in our system for repair as well, and as for also brain function. Our nerves are covered with something called a myelin sheath, which is largely cholesterol.
So it makes me ask the question, Dr. Ware.
Yes.
So many people have, as they age, they have dementia. Come on in, James. Take off your shoes, though. They have dementia. People start losing their mind a little bit, and then Alzheimer's. But most of these people are on statins.
Yep.
And what does the statin do?
Doesn't allow the body to uptake cholesterol, and also it doesn't allow the body to take certain vitamins and nutrients. So if you're taking all these great things away, but hey, your cholesterol is back in line, but doc, I feel horrible. Actually I can't even play golf now because I've just popped my hamstring yet again. I have to have surgery, and we don't realize that it's all because of the fact that our cholesterol is not allowed to repair and do its natural normal job. What we need to do when we look at cholesterol is really the ratio of HDL to LDL. So HDL should be a little bit higher, LDL is a little bit lower, but if it's a good ratio of like 65 to 70%, you're good. You know, I'm not saying if you have a 300 or 250, you got to work on that, but that's usually just lifestyle modifications. You know, stop having the processed food or the bad sugars, eat more healthy fats, you know, you'll see the body really start to shift.
So the only thing I am wondering about with you, Kathleen, is your red cell count. When you go in, do you ever have them measure your hematocrit and hemoglobin? No, okay. So typically,
That's usually like one of the top ones we first look at. Hematocrit, hemoglobin. Typically, you should be between 11.1 and 14. If you're below that, you're anemic. In your case, we're looking at the fact that you don't have a lot, right? So we're looking at, you know, maybe, where are you from originally?
New York,
New York. Your parents?
Russian and
So I'm not gonna say you have sickle cell or thalassemia, but I may lean towards that. Or there's another issue going on, because when I look at this, I'm like, I don't see enough in there.
enough, so I
red
Red
cells.
blood cells.
not enough red cells.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Are you tired at all?
Well, I have terrible sleep. So yeah, I've been very tired.
She's a world famous filmmaker, by the way, so she's like doing like major like tours of her movies.
So let's just talk about, I mean, that's awesome, but you know, your blood is what sustains you, right? And it gives you your oxygen and your nutrients, and if you're not like feeding your cells. Now remember, there is no DNA or nucleus in your red blood cells, okay? They do not reproduce themselves. They are transporter only. That's all they do is transport, which is different. They transport, they get down into your capillaries, and through osmotic pressure, they dump all the good stuff into the cells that do replicate, and then they come back on with the CO2, okay?
So let me just get clear. So what I'm looking at right now, these are all white blood cells?
These are all red.
Red. Red.
But there's lots.
But there's not a lot of them, so it could symptomatically make you feel a little tired because you're just not getting the enough nutrients for your. I mean, you have a very busy lifestyle, obviously. So how do you support that?
How do you support that?
Right? Nutrients.
Nutrients, one, but also sleep. I mean, you know, I always tell the story that, you know, if you're not getting between 7 and 10 hours sleep a night, most adults need 9 to 10 hours sleep a night. We think we need less than that. Is as if you walk around drinking a 6-pack of beer, right? If you get like 6 hours sleep a night, it's as if you're walking around drinking a case of beer every day. So look at that for a health model. If I was looking at you and say, hey, you're an alcoholic, what sort of organs would be shutting down? In your case, I'm not quite sure you have foggy brain syndrome. You know, probably have certain periods of the day that you can't really think very, very well. And then you get to the age where you're going to start to forget a lot more. And it's not just because of the fact you're not sleeping, it's the fact that we don't have enough oxygen moving around your body to also heal your body fast enough as well. So
does that make sense to you? Okay, so the interesting part I just want to bring out, there is a whole metaphysical part to the blood cells. And I just want to bring this up because you can see that there's an aura. She happens to have a white aura, but these auras are different colors. In every single person's slide that I've put up here, the auras are different. And it's an indicator because this is your inner energy, your inner chakra. And white typically, of course, is your crown chakra. But the reason I'm saying this, that it produces an aura, yours is a little dull. So right now you're kind of worn out, right? That's what I would say. You're ready for a little vacay or something like that. That's right. So there's plenty of sound healers here that you could probably benefit from that kind of frequency to up your frequency game.
We should do that. Richard, do you mind doing our sound healing before, and then I don't know, would that be with Kathleen?
Yeah, she would be a person. Yeah, we have her now blood, so we could do her after blood.
So what we had, it's funny because yesterday Jan was here reading people's blood, and I taught the Raja class, and Connor had his blood taken right after the Raj class, and you could see the blood moving like in an amazing way, like his blood cells were dancing. So you can see the difference from before and after yoga. And she was like, this is the effect of yoga on your blood.
Yep.
And I was like, if we could show people this to get the awareness. And then Richard offered to do some of the sound healing because we're doing an event here in February. So he has his gongs and his bowls and they play about like 10 minutes. And we thought, let's see the blood before and after the sound healing to see if there's any frequency difference.
Well, she would be a very good candidate for that because we have her blood right now.
Yeah, right in there. And then we'll draw your blood right after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we like
Point of clarification, 1 drop of blood was in the lead past year that says 1 drop of blood is homogeneous. It represents the
It does represent all the rest of your blood.
Yeah.
So we have like, 50 trillion cells in us. But I just wanted to make the one point to everybody. This is just me talking. It's not a scientific thing, but think about this. Your heart beats 60 times on an average a minute, okay? And there's a sinus node in your heart that actually is an electrical node that makes your heart contract, okay? And it contracts and it pushes the blood out, as opposed to the lymphatic drainage system, which only thing that makes that move is exercise. That's why it's so fantastic, all this guided stretch and everything. But I just want to make the point that because the heart has an electrical node that makes it beat, every single red blood cell that comes out of your heart has an electrical charge, a magnetic charge. So when I'm looking at your blood, I'm in the field with you. I'm definitely in the field. And that says to me, and they've measured it at the Math Heart Institute, that you can measure your magnetic field from your heart 3 feet out in front of you. Now it goes further, but the hard core is 3 feet out in front of you. So if you see somebody, I think it's a survival thing that we were wired this way. You see somebody and you're like, ooh, no, that person is not. Or you see somebody like Christine, she's gonna hug you and you're gonna let her, okay? Because she has that great energy. Whether you wanna hug or not, it's coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's other people that you wouldn't let near you. And that's the heart talking to you. Now, when they measure the brain, it's 1 inch, okay? So in our society, everything's about AI, the brain, the brain, the brain. No, it's about what's here. And my supposition is that consciousness, which I've heard a million definitions about what consciousness is, I'm still a little fuzzy on it. I can tell you what you are if you're unconscious, right? We get that one. But consciousness lies in the red blood cells.
Yeah.
They have an energy, they have an aura, and that's why there's the light bulb effect. It's like your heart beats every single minute, right? And you get a chance to know something new in a second. Every time your heart beats, you have that consciousness and it carries that information. And that's why in constellations, they tell you go back in your ancestry 7 generations, how we pass things on to our people. That's because in the heart and the beating of the heart and the energy of the heart, it carries your information.
So speaking of heartbeat, let's get up.
Okay, yes.
So we're going to do a little get up, just move, and no bounce, and then we'll have the balance of Richard setting us into, I always feel like I'm sitting at the use moment. So
I wonder if it would change, I wonder if it would change it right on the,
and then she could, do a little change. and
Okay,
shift.
yes.
So I invite you to shake out the hands, do a little move, do a little bend of your knees, we'll shake a little something, yes, yes. And when it feels good, bring your arms all the way out in front. Weight into your big toe mounds and your heels. Keep your inner thighs hugging in. Then just do a gentle squat. This is awkward pose. It ought to feel awkward. Take a deep breath. Smile while you're doing it. Shoulders draw back so you're not leaning forward too much. Lower a little bit more with the heels. Inner thighs hug in. If your quad say something happy to you. Take one more breath. And then inhale, come back to center. So I'll ask you now, bring your arms by your sides. Shift weight into your left foot. And just come onto the toes of your right. Keep your eye gaze forward. If you look down, you'll wind up there, so don't do that. Shoulders draw back, a little bend in your left knee so you feel it, and start to lift your right foot off the floor. So if you're comfortable here, start to lift your right knee up. Aha. Take 2 big breaths. One more. Smile while you're doing it. And then exhale, bring the right foot back down. Notice how your heart responds to just that little simple shift in movement. So take a deep breath, inhale and exhale, in and out through the nose. Now you kind of know where you're going. Shift into the right foot. Start to feel that your right foot is your foundation. Slight bend in your right knee. And you can just stay with the tips of your left toes on the floor. And once you're convinced, start to lift your left foot up. Try to get the left knee in line with your left hip if you can. Flex the left toes. Keep the inner thighs engaged. Keep the eye gaze up. Keep smiling. Very serious skill. Take one more inhale and exhale. And just taking your time, just noticing how the body responds. Notice where your mind starts to go. Come back to center. Left foot comes down. So the second time is the charge. Now you've been here. It's muscle memory. Your body already knows where you're going. This is your test. Balance, stability, and agility. It's not really a test. Shift the weight into your left foot when you're ready and lift the right. Try not to think about it too much. Just 2 breaths. Think about the right knee lifting a little more, the foot flexing a little more, smiling a little wider. Perfect. And exhale, right foot down, and then shift and lift the left. Beautiful. Take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. Both feet down. Now close your eyes and just feel. Notice how you're more aware of your heartbeat. You're more aware of the energy moving through your legs, your hips, your shoulders, maybe in your fingertips. Just noticing the little shift in energy in your physical body changes the energy throughout your body. So it doesn't mean you have to run around the block. It doesn't mean you have to jump up and down. It should just being aware of every step you take, every thought you think, every word you speak. Just realizing how all of these things align with your energy. Maybe just closing your eyes and sitting in stillness every once in a while. It's a good way to tap into the energy in here. To show up as the best version of ourselves out there. So I invite you to come back, sit down. Richard Brookins, the magical sound guru.
Christine, would you join me over here to when I play food, we can play a couple bowls.
I will do that.
Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Go all the way up there. Let your breath relax as you exhale.
Just take a few deep breaths and notice how you feel. Notice how a different frequency and different bowls make a different response in the body. Difference of awareness in the mind. So let's see how it changes the frequency of energy in the blood.
Come on, Kathleen.
I would
Let's see.
venture to say this has never been done before.
It has
You're
not.
here witnessing, and never before attempted.
Do you have a small bowl at all? Can you do this over the top of her head for just a second? I want to just see, or do you want? I want to just.
Do the crystal because the Tibetan doesn't vibrate the same.
I just want you to I want you to go and do it and put it near her crown chakra, and let's see what we got.
Yeah, the crown is.
Thank you for being a willing participant. Yes, we want to know what's going on with you. We want to know. I've got these dry. While we're waiting for this, I just want to put this up. There's also another aspect to this, and this is the dry. Okay, so if you don't mind, just right here, stand behind her, and let me do this right now. Now, I'm going to do this as soon as you start. Hold on now.
You can add this to your repertoire.
Yes, I definitely am. There's always a first. There's still first in my life, and I'm happy for that. Close your eyes, please. Take a nice deep breath. I want your crown chakra. Send me your crown chakra and say to me, I'm sending you my crown chakra. Take a deep breath. Sorry. Keep going. Deep breath. Okay, hold on to that. All right, the big reveal. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see what the blood reveals.
Look how it's
Oh my
moving.
gosh. Wow.
Okay, let's just talk about how it's moving. You just saw her blood.
That's insane. They're all dancing together.
Yes.
Now, do you see how
See the
bright it
aura,
is?
how bright it is now?
Do you see how bright the white is?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Oh my.
So when people say you should do yoga and you should do this and that, I mean, those are the benefits.
Too, the purple and the crown chakra, the light, all, I mean, that's amazing.
It's so colorful now.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's not dim, right?
So that relieved some of your stress, would you say?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the benefit of stress release and frequency. Now, you all have heard of Royal Rife. He was born in 1888. He actually died in 1971. But the interesting part is he just made this big, gigantic microscope, and he used quartz crystals as his medium to look through everything. The problem with what he did was that he made the claim that when he saw bacteria, he could kill them with frequency. So right away, he was excommunicated from the mainstream guys. Okay, we all know who those people are. And we're just catching up to what he had proposed related to frequency. And you can see the value of frequency right here, just on a stress basis. Okay?
It's mind-blowing.
You know,
Let's see, that's practice your yoga and meditation. People.
Exactly. The simple thing that we can look at is we know, you know, Albert Einstein said this has been said for many millennia, we're all frequencies. The way that we recognize each other is we actually have a unique frequency to each other. So there are ways of even mapping that. And one reason why we actually have certain technologies that I can barely speak about is we know what everyone is in the world because of our own frequency, genetically and also physically as well. So there's already technology to say what everyone is in the world. But there's ways to manipulate that because we know that every bacteria, virus, whatever it may be, has a unique frequency. You match that, it's going to cancel itself out, it's going to collapse upon itself and die. So we've known this for many, many years. Why is it that we go into the tents and do hot yoga and all those things? Because they get different frequencies, different rates, our body is healing. Why is there, the flute was very, very prominent, Native American, Asian, African, the drums and things of that sort, the frequencies. If you, actually a lot of the instruments, they've actually taken these native instruments and actually taken frequencies from them and say, wow, these actually are so well tuned without having the tuning machine to our actual own person.
And that was one of the dangers when everything started to get shifted onto cassette and CD.
Exactly.
Because vinyl still had the frequencies.
Yes.
But when we started shifting everything onto cassette, CD, the MP3s now, the frequency, the inherent frequency in music is gone.
Yeah.
So that's why when you go to listen to live music, you hear the difference. You feel the difference in live music versus, and especially like, you know, especially if they're not hooked into like an auto-tune or a computerized system, it's such a difference in frequencies. There's no coincidence every single ancient culture around the world had some sort of music vibe that was created in a ceremonial space. And I feel like that's, you know, so much of the connection that we've lost, I think, you know, community-wise, is that we don't get together. And so even, you know, whether we chant in meditation, whether you sing at church, whether you know, whatever it is, that community, you know, resonance that happens, it's powerful and it changes everything inside.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got.
This is going to be really exciting to see how the sound frequency, the sound
Hold your hand.
what this blood looks like.
If it's dull, I'm going to run.
Since he's always.
Wow, look at that. That's the river.
That's like a highway.
That is like a highway.
Wow.
Now, talking about frequency, look at
Literally a super highway.
Holy smokes.
You have to wait a while for it to calm down to see anything. Exactly.
Now, let me see something here.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Now, talking about frequencies, sometimes if I leave the blood on the slide for a while, okay, that'll be good. It's like Dr. Ware said, the parasites actually have their own vibe, okay? And they are changing the vibe of the person. So if you are loaded with viruses and parasites, one little parasite swimming around, okay, we've got parasites, it's not that uncommon, but now things have changed. So if you've got tons of parasites, guess what? Collectively, they have a bio-spirituality that takes over your body, and now they're telling you where to eat, what to eat, what to think. Do you know how many people come in and their mind, they just can't focus their mind? Go.
So, this is funny,
If you want
but
to
it's
sit out
not.
here,
So everyone I've tested with my GI map, I've done hundreds, close to thousands of people with these GI maps now. So the ones that have parasites are the ones that I automatically know won't follow my diet, will cry about everything, will text, call, and I can't do this. I'm like, it's not you, it's the parasites telling you what you can and can't do, right? Different bacteria overgrowth people, you know, it's like, okay, well, it depends on the bacteria, because certain ones will enter the brain. You know, they also realize that it's not just in your gut, it's also in your brain. So I always tell people, you know, it's not you, is what they want to eat. You know, so if you're crazy, oh man, I would love to have some olives, but then also I want a jelly donut, but then also I want to have a smoothie, but then now I want, it's what they are wanting to eat, right? So if you are high sugar, high processed food, because it's that fast energy, now start eating a bunch of leafy greens and see what happens. Like, wait a minute, I'm not craving as much as I used to. Keep eating those leafy greens. Start to fast a little bit, and when you fast, guys, if you ever go through my diet and I tell you to fast, and you call me up crying, I'm like, it's because they're so hungry. You're not hungry. They're so hungry that they're trying to kill you now, in a literal sense, because they're starting to die off. So now they're pushing those buttons. Hey, I need to eat sugar. I need sugar. No, deny. Drink the green juice. Put a little olive oil inside of it, and you're gonna feel great. But then your mind is gonna just start playing tricks on you. And it's not you, it's these parasites that's implanting themselves inside your body. Have you ever heard, is a certain fly larvae that they love to land on bees and grasshoppers in the Amazon? What they do is they actually change the DNA of these bees and grasshoppers to now go eat what we want, so you can now feed our children. It's called zombie flies. So we see this in nature. Now, imagine what's going on in our gut and also our brain.
When I also, like I just say, like, you know, we think how smart we think we are.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's debatable, but it's, you know, you think about how much our bodies are so resilient. I mean, all you have to do is look at a drug addict or an alcoholic, and you see how resilient the body is. It will do everything it can to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, you see people starving themselves in the street, you'll see how resilient the body is. Well, all these little parasites and bacteria are probably significantly more evolved than we are, frankly, because, you know, in a realm and scheme of intelligent beings,
Yep.
you know, I don't know where we actually rank. So it's like we think about how adaptable these parasites and bacteria have become over time, and the fact that even in the face of, you know, antibiotics that wipe out everything, you know, they still have the ability to come back. And, you know, if you get a cold, how 2 years later that cold is a completely different cold that you'll catch again. And, you know, everything is evolving and shifting and moving so quickly that takes a very intelligent being to evolve that quickly.
And the reason why we have antibiotic resistance is because they're evolving forever. Ooh, yeah, okay.
So nobody's really had this, and you don't have a lot of it, but I wanted to point it out, okay? Only because it's important that people really see and understand this. And there's no way to test your blood really for this quantitatively. You have to really see it. So your blood was fabulous, it was free-flowing, and it was really terrific. However, you have this little microagglutination, and people who have been sick over the last 4 years or so with different things that have been coming out, it causes what's called microagglutination. This is the one you asked me what I have seen. Didn't see this before in people's blood. So this
Can you say that again?
agglutination. So it means agglutinized, it's glue, it's like kind of glued together. And the significance of this is that we don't know that we have it. Okay, we're just walking around like a time bomb. Basically, this is not a scare tactic, because everything that you see in here, you can fix. There's a remedy for it, because our bodies want to be healthy. That's our natural way. But when you have something like this, remember, I took your blood from your capillaries. This hunk, and you know, it has to fit in those little capillaries, just like, now when you get into those micro threads, it's practically one at a time. So you hear of people that are all of a sudden having strokes. Your friend, James, beautiful 55-year-old woman came to see me the other day. She had diabetes, so it was a little bit of a pre-thing, but she had these microagglutinations. How do you even know you have them? You're laying there in the bed, next thing you know, you have a stroke. Because these are sticky, and they pick up other cells that are sticky, and the next thing you know, you've got a clot.
Yep.
Right now, that's not a clot.
So is that why you see like some of these others, they're getting closer, like
Yeah.
they're coming in from the side and they're coming looking like
And they
they're-
stick together.
Yep.
They
And
stick.
even those like on the other side, you see they start to stick.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
what does he do?
And I'll also say you have a little bit of anemia going on as well. And along with all that, I would say, are you vegan, vegetarian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Unfortunately for you, you're one of my patients. I say stop being vegan and vegetarian. I would say eat fish, eat lamb. And the reason why is because it's going to help your body, one, boost itself back up where it needs to be. I can give you all the vitamins, all the nutrients, I can give you all that stuff. But to be honest with you, most individuals, if I look at you genetically,
He's vegan.
I'm vegan.
Don't say that.
I've been
I
vegan.
always feel like if he tells somebody to eat meat, I have to preface it the fact that he's vegan. So that
Yeah,
like
I've been
those
vegan for
people-
30 years. But genetically, I've actually looked at my genome and said, okay, I only need between 7 and 12% of my daily intake of nutrients to be protein. Versus my kids, my wife, whatever, they're around 60, 70%, right? So I can look at those ratios. You don't have enough healthy fats inside your diet. You may eat a ton of avocados, but if you're from South America originally, where avocados come from, great, but you probably are actually allergic to them as well. So you need some other kind of healthy fats. So you need like the fish. You need like, even I say ghee and things of that sort inside your body to be more healthy. We think that being vegan or vegetarian is, oh, I'm healthy, I feel great. This is what starts to happen.
Yeah.
And I see it often in a lot of my patients too. So the other way to start getting rid of this is going to be the healthy fats are going to help to break that up. So you're also probably really, really low in cholesterol. You're really good cholesterol. This is also another reason why this is happening too. And then also I would say take his detox to get the virus out your system completely because it's still there.
What is your blood type by any chance? Do you know? So, yeah, that would be interesting to know. You could follow that a little bit, yeah.
One thing I noticed in his, even the inside is still moving. Like there's still like a little dance happening inside.
Yeah.
That's the energy. That's the energy that's inside. There's energy, of course, like I was talking about. There's a charge in there, but it does have its own collective heartbeat. You can kind of see it. Yeah, it's just a brilliant. Yeah, it's just a brilliant system. So, and nattokinase enzymes.
Thank you. I was thinking of that as well. It's very, very good to help break that up too.
Nattokinase. You get yourself a good quality enzyme. You can speak to David here about that. But a lot of them don't have nattokinase as an element. You have to buy that separately right now. They're going to come out with other ones, but that's very, and it also helps with your.
Digestive enzymes?
Well, they're more metabolic enzymes.
Yeah.
Maybe you have them too. I don't know.
No, I don't produce them, but I also just start with nattokinase 1. It just it's nothing more than fermented soy. But
Right.
it stinks like it's a dish in Japan that stinks like all get out. But what they found was that it actually helps protect the heart, thus protecting the red blood cells as well. But I've been giving it to my patients for the last 15 plus years.
How do you give it to him?
Pill. You
It's
just
a
go on
pill.
Amazon, just get one. Yeah.
It's like really.
It's sticky. It's real sticky and slimy and stinky. It's like worse than stinky tofu.
Right.
Yeah. But it tastes good though, once you get it in.
Once you get it in there, right?
Trying to find a high-quality metabolic enzyme as well as digestive.
Exactly. And you actually look for a metabolic enzyme.
It will break that down.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
ready? As ready as you'll ever be?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I mean, if you have a Russian background, think about what your ancestors ate. They went around the prairie picking flowers and they're cold and need that fat and things of that sort. And you probably, I didn't really see with you though.
You gotta see the genetic thing, because
Yeah.
this is the irony is that he did my genetic testing, and he said that if I did eat red meat, luckily I haven't for 23 years, but if I did eat red meat, I'd be 80% more likely to have colorectal cancer because
Yeah.
my body does not have what is needed to process
Yeah.
red meat. So it would just be sitting in my colon rotting away, and I would be more predisposed to colorectal cancer. So that's why I think the coupling of the genetic testing and the microbiome testing is so pivotal, because my
Take a
thing,
deep
what else are you
breath
going to
for
do?
me.
What other information are
Okay.
you going to get?
You're good.
if
You're
not
good.
what's
It's
going
over.
on in
It's
your gut,
over.
what's going on in your
You
body?
did good.
People
You're all right.
take their cars for, routine
Oh,
maintenance
okay.
and figure out, well,
We'll see if it matches.
If a valve is broken or if there's something going on in your transmission, you're going to pay whatever it needs to be paid to get it fixed.
Yeah.
But why not get that level of testing to get the awareness about what's going on in your body to be more proactive and preventative about that?
Yeah.
And imagine, like, if I was a meat eater, where would I be at this, you see people all the time that are diagnosed with cancer in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I mean, I have a friend with breast cancer at 36. I've known people that have, had cancer diagnoses, in their 40s. Well, if their entire diet is comprised of something that they're predisposed to genetically having, additional illness from, if all you have to do is take that out of your diet, why isn't this the test that's done, as a child, as a teenager, when you go to the doctor, instead of them, giving whatever test they're giving, why not do, at least look at your gut health? I mean, the gut is the brain of the body.
Just keeping it simple.
These are things that I feel like just with a little, that's why, call this the, intelligent aging workshop series. Like, we're like, how can we be smarter about what we're doing with our bodies over time?
Exactly.
To be more aware.
And then coupling with what Jan is doing, seeing real life, real time action, and saying, okay, well, we have to sort of fix this while we wait for this to sort of come back, and then pair it all together is just giving you the immediate and then the gradual as well. And it's phenomenal.
Are you drinking enough water, Gil? You're not hydrated.
He was just trying to drink his daily intake right now.
Yeah, he's just downing it as he's walking up here.
Yeah, but you see, like, all the, that's like
Now
your,
let's see.
all your little blood cells are all stacked and smooshed.
Yeah.
Now hold on, let me get to a place, maybe there's just a place on the slide, but let me just double check.
And we got some things going on.
We have no water, just coffee.
Just coffee?
Yeah, this is,
That's not normal, usually just coffee.
I'm joking.
the truth is coming out.
The blood never
Tell him
lies.
when you get home. Like, shh, be quiet, be quiet. I told you I didn't want to come here today.
Let's see what we got.
It's the
Yeah.
first one to sign up.
That's amazing. The other thing I'll say is, guys, like for me, like with my diagnosis with sickle cell beta thalassemia, I didn't want to tell anyone about it. I hid it for a long time. I didn't want to go to the doctors. That all, you know, I know what I have. I know what's going on. Da 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 da. And that was sort of silly because until I learned how to treat myself, there were things that I was missing. I passed out. I used to play. I played AAA baseball, and I passed out in practice one day only because of the fact that I didn't want anyone to know, or I didn't want to get tested to see what my blood count was and things of that sort. The point of saying that is, when you know, you can do something about it. When you don't know, you're just sort of in a fog in your own little vacuum. So getting tested, I'm not saying get, you know, I have people, oh, I want to get tested every quarter. No, you're not. Sorry. No, we're not going that fast, that deep, unless there's an issue that we're treating. But in general, you need to actually test yourself to see what's going on.
Well, and I think too, so important is what you've seen here today, and this is why we wanted to make sure we got at least like 4 people's blood up here, because you can see the difference in each and every one of us.
Yeah.
You know, we are all unique in this space, but like we're being exposed to the same stuff. So what do we need to do specifically?
So this is just a perfect example of what's called rouleau, which is a French word for rope, where when you haven't had the water and you had coffee, it's Sunday morning, you know, and you haven't, they stack like coins, right? And so they can't carry all the oxygen and nutrients to your system. So, you know, you may not want to run a marathon when your blood is looking like this, right? You want to really hydrate, and you know, if you're going to do something that's going to take your energy, you're going to
They
drink.
can't flow because they're all stuck. So you know how everybody's like was moving. I mean, it's ironic to go from Richards, that was like the superhighway, to yours, just because you can see how they're just. I mean, it's like a traffic jam. Gil knows I love it.
I used to work with Microscopist, who was one of the Jan Stone's and Lee Stevens.
Mm.
He told me 60 years ago, the first thing when he went to his doctor as a kid, they just stick his finger, put under a microscope, and look at it for an hour.
Yeah.
When's the last time, besides someone like Dr. Ware, has spent an hour with you?
Yeah.
What is the standard medical model? Every
Yeah.
3.5 minutes? Or
Yeah.
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 The other problem is we diagnose disease better than anybody in the world. We prescribe medication. When that fails, we perform surgery.
Yeah.
That's the way for our
Yeah.
healthcare system.
Exactly.
It's great.
120%. I mean, what Jan said in the beginning is the art. What someone told me when I first went to medical school, and the reason why I was interested in becoming a doctor was they say diagnosing someone is an art. It's not an exact science. It's an art. You have to learn. You have to really feel people out. And I was having a conversation with this young lady here earlier, and I've been to Western Medical School. I went to naturopathic school as well. And my question for both of those cases was when we would start touching people. When I want to put my hand on someone and actually feel what it feels like to have a certain disease. I started coaching baseball yet again like an idiot. No, I love it. But one of my kids actually has type 1 diabetes. And, I'm constantly monitoring him. But his parents are like, okay, well, he has his juices. If he gets really low.
One of his baseball kids,
Yeah.
not his kids.
Yeah, not my kids, not
Yeah.
mine. Not my kids, no. He'll drink a Sprite just to bring his levels back up. And I'm like, listen, look, we're going to stop playing that game. I'm like, here's an avocado. Here's a packet of coconut oil. You're going to do that before practice. Because what's going to happen? These fats slowly break themselves down into sugars.
Yeah.
So your body will actually use that better than just having the immediate glucose and things of that sort. So for you, Gil, the thing I would say is, please start your day off with, oh, Gil, it's not bad, I'm joking. Start your day off not with coffee, just hydrate yourself. Most individuals assume that I need my caffeine to wake me up to get going. It's not. Your brain detoxifies itself at night. You lose about between 35 to 60% of your water in your brain. And your brain is 90% water anyway. So you lost a lot of your brain, metabolism. You need to hydrate it. Use water. Or in my case, what I tell people, use, herbal tea. Research came out with this 90-year-old Japanese guru. It was very, very simple. He said the only way for you to actually rehydrate yourself or be healthy is within 45 minutes of you waking up, have a warm cup of herbal tea, about 8 to 12 ounces. You do that, wait a minute, I'm alert. Yes, your brain is rehydrated. You have the electrolytes to actually function too. Sorry, go ahead.
No, there's something I want to ask you is kind of like, how are you feeling? Because do you have highs and lows with your body energy? Do you go up and down at all? Do you kind of like feel really great and then crash and then feel really great and crash, or do you? Because what I sense is a little bit of an imbalance. Like there's some really good red blood cells, then there's some red blood cells that these are called ghost cells in here, where they have. I don't know. They have lost their heme, but they're still in the bloodstream. So I'm wondering about the spleen-liver connection there.
Yeah. Because looking from and I'm not a micrologist, but I know blood. So when I see blood, I'm like, oh, okay, we got some things we have to deal with.
There's something.
But yeah, it is your liver's not detoxifying properly, and then 5 hours of sleep a night, maybe 6 usually of sleep. Are you getting that, or are you getting more than that?
How much sleep? How many hours?
7, 8. Do you have apnea at all? Do you not sleep? Is he sleeping well? Are you partners? Like a baby? Okay.
What is your blood type? And do you eat meat? It might be good for you if you are an O to eat a little bit more protein.
But know what your blood type is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And again, this is for educational purposes only.
Right,
this is not
right.
entertainment purposes. This is not a diagnosis of anything. We got to put that out there. But the reason why things look curious to me is because of the fact that, one, the lack of movement, also the lack of oxygen that I see that's floating through there. And there's a lot of congestion, which means
There's
that your body,
congestion.
yeah,
It's more like congestion.
you have an issue with actually detoxifying yourself. That's why I was detoxifying. You don't detoxify very, very well. So that's why I was asking about how many hours of sleep you're getting at night. If you're not really doing that well, then it can be an issue.
Because you saw how clear the plasma was, and there's this like foggy, murky.
The other thing too is, and this is typical in men primarily, is that sometimes you have too many red blood cells. And I think that may be that you're generally healthy, but you may have an overabundance, and a lot of times you're a great candidate for bloodletting type thing, where you go donate blood. And you get, because he looks a little congested in his blood, and it's just maybe you have a really, when you get your lab results back, see what your hematocrit and hemoglobin is, see if you have a high hematocrit, right?
Yeah.
And because you have a lot of red blood cells, that's all. So it's creating a little bit of congestion, and if you don't drink the water, you immediately get dehydrated and you get that ropey thing. But otherwise, your blood looks good. You feel good.
Well, I wanted, I know we ran over a little bit, but I just wanted to make sure we got, as many as we could. We were very prompt in our start and finish. But my whole point is that I just feel like this is something that everybody should be aware of, that, a doctor's appointment should be something where you feel like you're, getting an education about yourself rather than just, a report card about, whatever the numbers or the levels of the lab say. So I encourage people, get Jan's information. She's, I think, just one of the people that gave me a major insight about my health and wellness, and makes you, a little more proactive in what you're doing. Dr. Ware's tests, certainly above and beyond the level of information. We'll be lingering around, I always say just, introduce yourself to people that you haven't met before, because this is a really good opportunity to build community, and a community of people that are at least of like mind, where somebody's probably doing something that's really working well for them that might work well for you. And I always invite everybody, if you know somebody who would be good to present here for Social Wellness Club, to be able to come and share what they know. I think the more we know about what's out there and what's available to us, especially in our local community, the better off we all are. And then, come to Guiding Stretch often.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Once a month, so we always have something going on. Make sure that you got on the newsletter. It's on our website. Then you'll get, don't spam anything. We always give tips and good, valuable information about what we offer here. So at least when you get something from one of our emails, open it. It probably has really something exciting to tell you. And then February 25th, Richard Brookins and I will be here. Whole vibe, 2-hour sound bath, Raja deep stretch, all at the same time. Hopefully we'll be outside if the weather's nice. And
like a half a dozen gongs and a set of Tibetan bowls with these something.
Wow, that's amazing.
7 gongs, 14 crystal bowls, I think 11 of the Tibetan bowls. So it's like a whole setup. And he's been doing this for how many years, Richard?
A little over 20.
Yeah, for the entire time I've been in the yoga community, I've always heard and known Richard, and he's amazing. And so it's really a treat, for him to share his gifts and blessings with us. Then again, on March 31st, we have Wes Saunders, who's a former NFL player, who actually, Dr. Ware helped him develop his West Juice, which is a green juice. He leads breath work and meditations for the NFL Players Association. He'll be here with us leading a breath work with sound healing with Richard, and we'll do that on March 31st. So we always have lots of good stuff going on. So.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, the dry blood.
Yes, I wanted
to.
to.
Yes.
That's how it is. Thank you.
Yes, you can. Let me unmic him so that what is said is not picked up.
Hi.